Congressman Westmoreland.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Geithner, when did AIG, if you could just give us a date, when did AIG call and say we need some money?
Well, they came to Treasury and the Fed formally, I think, on that Friday.
Well, Friday,
which was, I think it was the calendar will show. It was the Friday in September, the 11th or the 12th, I think.
Okay, so it was a Friday in September.
Yeah.
And at the time, there were advisors of AIG that were also advising the New York Fed. Were you aware of any conflicts amongst these advisors, or were there any discussions about what kind of conflict this might bring about?
Well, when AIG came to us and started to try to walk us through their financial condition, they had advisors with them, and they were also in discussion with other advisors that were not with us in the room at that time.
When did that dollar amount become, after the discussions, at what point in time did a dollar amount derived at?
You mean the initial terms of the initial loan?
The initial.
I think that we reached that decision probably just on the eve of the formal agreement.
Okay.
I mean, we again, we were trying to do...
And what would that date have been? Do you remember that
Well,
date?
it would have been, the 16th was when we concluded this transaction, so it would have been just before that.
Let me ask, on the counterparties, when was that meeting with the counterparties to discuss what the payment might be to them? Do you remember those dates?
I do not believe there was a meeting with counterparties. What I asked my colleagues to do, after looking at a range of options, is to approach the counterparties individually and try to negotiate concessions.
So there was no actual meeting where all the counterparties were in a room?
I don't think, I'd have to check the record. I'd be happy to check the record and get back to you, but I do not believe that my colleagues at New York Fed brought them in a room together.
So when you say your colleagues, these are people that actually work for you, they were under your direction?
Absolutely, and they acted in my direction.
Yes, sir. So you were aware of the 100% payment to the counterparties?
As I've said many times, we decided, and I fully supported, the decision to...
That's a yes?
Yes, that's a yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, in each one of these meetings with the counterparties to negotiate, we weren't able to negotiate any of them down?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the
And I
hardest
mean, these
thing.
were separate meetings, I guess. I mean, did you question the negotiating skills of some of these people?
No, these were, again, these were very talented people with a lot of experience who knew how to do this. Many had done this for a living. But again, unless you can threaten default or threaten to pay below par, you understand this, you don't have any leverage in a transaction. And in fact, if we had negotiated with the threat of default like that, our concern was that would risk a downgrade, would have brought about the collapse of the fund.
Do you know if AIG had approached any of these people about any type of negotiations about what a sum may have been? Because once the government gets behind it, like you said, it takes away your negotiating
You're
skill.
exactly right. You're exactly right. And I'm not sure, but I think that if I'm not mistaken, AIG had probably tried to do that before the government came in, but I can't speak to that today.
But these people with these credit default swaps, they were all bright people. They knew the high risk of what they were getting involved with, did they not? I mean,
well, the tragic lesson of this crisis is lots of bright people with lots of experience who should have known better made bets on the future of the country that assumed house prices would never fall. And the judgments AIG made were very similar to the mistakes the rating agencies made.
but these people were making a lot of money off of this. I mean, this was a high-risk, high-reward business, right?
Oh, you mean the people at AIG? Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. It's obvious that AIG deal is a bad deal for the taxpayers. And is this deal being renegotiated? And is anybody at the Treasury working with AIG to try to renegotiate this deal?
Right. Congressman, it is a better deal for the taxpayer than the alternatives, and it's proving in many ways far better than many of us thought, although, as I said, the U.S. government is still exposed to substantial risk of loss. But we have a new board in place.
But just answer, because
Yes.
I got one more question. But
No,
are you
no,
reading?
no, gentleman's time has